Hey, Backyard Mechanics, how you doing? I'm Max. I'm gonna show a video how to replace the CV joint, but I hate dragging people through the process, leaving the camera running and running and running. It drives me up a wall to watch one, and I don't wanna drive anybody up a wall. So it's gonna be in short clips. I'll explain it, I'll videotape it, I pause it. So watch the whole thing straight through and then watch it again when you're gonna start the work, the job, and pause it as you go along so you can keep up. All right, have a blessed day. Replacing the CV joints on a 2007 Hyundai Sonata. The nut for this 2007, the socket is a 32 metric. Use a breaker bar, break it free to the washer inside, take it off and save it. You're gonna need it again because a new kit of the CV joint does not bring one. The washer is flat on one side, oval on the other. The flat goes facing in. In addition, I am not removing the brake caliper. It's gonna stay mounted. The CV joint, to come out of here, I have seen videos whereas they are so rusted out, they have to bang the daylights out of this thing to come out, but don't freak out. A spray with WD-40. I put a rubber mallet in front of it so I can bang it with that 3-pound hammer, and it went through no problemo. But once you spray with WD-40 on the whole extension of it, as it's going in, it's lubricating, and it come right out, piece of cake. All right. I pivot the rotor so you can see the back here. That steering arm that's in the bottom, do not remove that, because when you remove the 2 bolts on the opposite side, this whole thing will pull right out and shift it to the side instead of removing all these components. There it is, 17 metric, one on this side and one on the opposite side. Remove those 2 bolts. I was able to pivot and pull it out from the back. So now looking for the bottom of the car, the other end of the CV joint where it goes into this housing. Stick a crowbar in here to pry it out. I had to use the help of a 3-pound hammer to bang the crowbar to get it out. Once I did, it started to leak. So I'm gonna remove it next. I'll put a pan in the bottom, of course, to catch any leakage. The rotor with the arm, to pivot it, you have to disconnect the brake line from the back of it in order to get clearance for the CV joints. It goes back into the tranny. I lubricate it with a little bit of transmission fluid. The opposite side, this shaft right here, it comes out, when it came out, it was rusted. So I'm gonna put some anti-seize on it so that if I ever have to take it off again. Notice that the one that goes into the transmission has a clip, okay? When you're down there, make sure that the clip opening is facing down. It'll avoid getting jammed. Once you get it in to the tranny, you're gonna feel like it's not going all the way in, but just make sure that it goes in enough and try to turn it, pivot it, and you're gonna feel that it's locked in the threads inside. So then, come out here and pull on it just a little bit and push hard. Pull on it, push hard until it jumps right inside. And you could feel it, you could hear it. Then you could go down there and check it, and then just put the bolt right through and reverse the order, putting it back on. And now putting the 2 bolts back in the bottom on this opposite side, it was hard to align, but you just have to play with it. And over here, I noticed that the lip on the top one is overhanging a little bit out, and then I was able to line up the bolt. On the same token, you have to take this whole thing and shift it back and forth so you could line up the opposite side. And then you're gonna see that on this side, the holes are not lined up. That's because you gotta shove it in more and the holes will line up. Remember, as soon as you get one bolt on, the other one is gonna be just as easy. And you're gonna see maybe, again, that it's going to be totally out of alignment. It's not going to be on top of the other. So just like I said, lift it up, shove it in. You're actually shoving the whole CV joint into place, and you'll be able to line up the bolts, the holes, and put the bolt in. I need to explain that before you put the CV joint that goes into the hub behind the wheel, hold it in your hands and pull it slightly and shove it in. Pull it slightly and shove it in until you can actually feel it clicks into the transmission. In this view, you can see once it clicks in, it is actually flushed in the tranny. Here you have a bottom view. You can see that the CV joint is flushed with the transmission. It's wet because it was leaking before when I pulled it out. And we follow the shaft all the way back to the wheel. You can appreciate it from this view. Let's see if I can get it down here. Yes, there it is. Don't forget to put the screw back in for the brake line. Next, we're going to put the wheel back on with 2 lug nuts holding it tight in place. Bring the wheel down to touch the ground so that I can torque the nut to 188 foot-pounds. It's a done deal. Torque it to, it says that you can torque it from 144 to 188. So I torqued it to about 180, whereas I was able to line up the hole to put in the cotter pin. You have to observe for that. Have a blessed day. Later. When it first started leaking out, I cleaned it with brake fluid and I put black silicone on it, and it held up until I was able to repair it. By the way, this is what a 14-year-old CV joint looks like. It held up pretty good, considering.